Over the last few months, this video has been making the rounds. The title is When the Job Site Doesn't Have Power. And you know that got my attention because I'm old-timey woodworking guy. But this dude is killing it. Look at the precision, the accuracy. If I were gonna hit a line like that, I would have to use a saw. But this guy is chopping it out with an adze. In case you're not familiar, an adze is a lot like an axe, except the blade is turned 90 degrees, and adzes were mostly used on the faces of boards, leveling, smoothing, stuff like that. They were used for chair seats, flooring, and a lot in shipbuilding, but not really furniture making. I never use one. But this tool is intriguing because it's wasting material away fast, but also working accurately to a line. These are things that I do in my woodworking. I would usually do them with an axe and a chopping block, but this adze is so small and light that maybe I wouldn't even need to use the block. And looking closer, I think it's an adze combined with a hammer. I see a nail pulling slot, and I'm pretty sure that's a hammer face there on the opposite side. And that makes so much sense on a job site. You've got one tool that can drive nails, pull nails, and do coarse and fine shaping of wood. It's an adze hammer. Hold on, that rings a bell. Somewhere in this shop, there is a crate full of rusty old junk, and somewhere in that crate, I could swear that an adze hammer. Okay, is combining a hammer with a razor-sharp cutting tool a good idea? I mean, who invented this thing? Who used it? Should anyone use it? Don't worry, we'll get there. My name's Rex, this is Tool Stories, and before we get too deep, we need to figure out if this tool can be saved. At all. Even by my low standards, this thing is rough. The rust is deep, with lots of pitting, and the edge is so chipped, I think someone was using it for masonry work. Before I get too excited, let's go to the wire wheel and see what's going on under all that crud. The wire wheel gets rid of rust, paint, and decades of grime without damaging what's underneath. But now that I can see what's under all that rust, I'm even less optimistic. The pitting is deep, and the blade and hammerhead show a lot of chipping. To actually bring this back as a cutting tool, the wire wheel isn't going to do the job. Time to change directions. My belt sander is not the best, but with an 80 grit belt, it's got the power to grind away all that pitted steel. Once those pits are gone, will there be anything left over? I don't know, but the sander does tell me something. Of course, the tool makes sparks when you grind it, but it doesn't all spark the same way. The very edge of the tool sparks like the 4th of July, bright shooting stars. But then, as I move the tool in away from the edge, it still sparks, but much less. See how those sparks are bright and bursting at the ends? That's the sign of a higher carbon steel. So there could be a piece of tool steel forge welded onto that head to make the cutting edge, or the manufacturer might have hardened the cutting edge more than the hammer face. Manufacturers did both things in the early 20th century. So the hammer face has a little softness for striking, while the blade will hold an edge. And you better keep that edge cool so it stays hard. This isn't just a hammer with an edge ground on, it's a serious tool meant to strike and cut. And that's partly why the edge is so chipped. It's too hard to hit whatever it's been hitting for the last 50 years. Rocks. I think it was hitting rocks. In a prison. Getting past those chips means grinding away so much of the edge that I'm worried about grinding away all that good steel. Bringing that bevel back to a fine edge is delicate work with lots of cooling as it gets thin. And right now, this could all be for nothing. I won't know for a while if there's still a working tool here, but I'm an optimist. So Let's get this thing into the bench vise and work the hammer face with a fine mill file to take off the chips and give it a bit of crown. And that belt sander left a rough surface, so let's refine that with a few grits of wet or dry automotive paper and a little bit of red Scotch-Brite for a satin glow. For the bevel, it's fine diamond stones until I feel a burr all along the edge and a strop. Not just to finish the edge, but also to give the finest polish to that top. So, did all of that stuff actually work? Does it cut? Yes. Yes, it does. Okay, visually, this is a lot better than I was expecting. I'm starting to get my hopes up, and it cuts paper, but it's not going to cut anything more demanding until I get it on a handle. And I've got a great one to copy. This old carpenter's hammer has a handmade handle with a complex octagonal shape. It's not going to be easy to make, but it's comfortable and it looks cool. I've got this white oak reclaimed out of a Cleveland factory. It's dense and dry, and while I start shaping this handle, let's get into the mystery. Why did someone mass produce this tool? And is it useful today? The tool was patented in 1924 by Andrew Benson, and the patent drawing looks like the tool I've got. But who used it? In his patent, Benson says that the tool can be used for cutting out grooves or channels, and that's confusing. Adzes were historically used for shaping, flattening, and matching curves. A curved adze can do some hollowing work, like a chair seat, but this one is flat, so I don't think it can cut a channel. Benson says the tool is of peculiar utility in the hands of shipwrights, although it is of general application and utility. And shipwrights did use adzes and hammers a lot, so combining them into one tool makes sense. But there's also no evidence that the tool was ever popular with shipbuilders. The adze hammer was mass-produced by the Henry Cheney Hammer Company, and they made 3 different models. Mine is the first model, and clearly people bought it because Cheney kept revising the shape until finally they got to Model 3, which is pretty different. With 3 different versions, the tool must have sold pretty well, and I'm about to figure out why, because this handle is nearly done. The eye of the head has a lot more flair than usual, probably because of all the leverage on the tool. I'm going to double wedge the handle to fill up the top of that taper, and then split it crossways and add a 3rd wedge so it's pushing out in all directions. This thing isn't coming off again, and after a bit of finish, is the tool actually good for anything? First, it's a hammer. Will it sink a nail? Yeah, that was fine. Let's sink another one, but not all the way. Because I'd like to test the nail pulling slot right here. The patent says you're actually supposed to hook the nail and then use the adze sideways like this to give you a rocking motion that makes it easier to start the nail. Believe it or not, back in the day, starting a nail meant pulling it out. It was the 1920s. What do I know? After you pull it out this way, then you're supposed to be able to rotate and not slip off the nail, and then pull the normal way, and yep, comes out really easily. And now that I've nailed this scrap of 2x to my bench top, I would like to get it off again. I bet the adze hammer would be great for demo, because the adze blade is a lot like a pry bar, but even slimmer, so it really gets under that board. You could give it a couple of taps with this 2x, and oh yeah, that was super easy. Excellent demo tool. Of course, what we really want to know is, how does this thing work as a cutting tool? Could it maybe replace my hewing hatchet? Well, the short answer is yeah, maybe. One of the things I don't like about hatchets is safety, even though I'm super careful. If I were working this board with a hatchet, I would only work it halfway up, and I would hold over on this far edge. But you know, you can still see there's just it still just makes you a little bit nervous. If I was working with the adze, I would rotate the board and hold it behind like this. And then when I go to work on the edge or even work on the face, I mean, my hand is really far away from the path of the tool. I've never even come close to having a mishap with a hatchet. But in my testing so far, the adze feels safer. My hands feel more out of the way. As far as the quality of cut goes, well, it's great. You can be pretty aggressive, and what you need to do is also master some amount of splitting, because the handle, the blade I should say, it will get stuck in there, but if you give it just a little bit of torque every time you hit it, then you can chop away a lot of material quickly. And this is very different from using a hatchet or an axe, and it's definitely still taking me a lot of getting used to. But even barely knowing what I'm doing, look how much material I got rid of and how quickly. Let me grab a piece of hardwood. Hold on. Here's a piece of cherry, nice hardwood that I would work with a lot. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, wow. It cuts really smoothly. And then I can chip and lever and split out waste. And then if I want to work a little bit more precisely, yeah, that's a possibility too. Now I'm being very careful to keep my right leg back, so if I miss a swing or if it goes through the work unexpectedly, there's nowhere that I can hit myself. But you know, it even left a pretty decent finish down here. I could see using this for pretty precise work, just like the guy in that amazing carpentry video. It's gonna take a lot of practice, but there's a huge amount of potential in this tool. And when I'm using this tool around the shop for general stuff like adjusting planes or driving tacks or nails, I try to never lose sight of the fact that there is a razor-sharp blade on the cutting end of this thing. A fact which I do find a little bit unnerving, especially when you're striking with the tool. Every return swing just sends that blade right towards you. And look, I've never hit myself in the face with the claw on my carpenter's hammer, but if I hit myself in the face with this, it would be much worse. And I think safety is a different concern here. I use axes and hatchets a lot, but when you lay those down on a bench top, well, the blade is flat and it's really unlikely to hurt anybody. You can't do that with an adze hammer. If I put it down like this, it's going to fall over, and if I put it down like this, well, I've still got a very sharp corner sticking up, just waiting to slice you open. I think the obvious fix for that is we need a cover for the blade. It could be made of leather, something with a nice snap to hold it on, or we might 3D print something. I think that's the final piece of the puzzle, because it would make it safe enough when you're using it as a striking tool, but also protect that fine edge so it's still sharp when you go to use it. I'm sure the guys on the carpentry site don't do that, but the furniture making shop is a different environment, and since a lot of us don't do it full time, we want to be a little more careful about safety. We don't have the experience to be as easygoing with our tools as some of the pros do. And it's possible that my company, Compass Rose Tools, might be able to bring this tool back and start selling it again. I was talking to a machinist buddy of mine this week, and he said, yeah, we could do that. We could machine that out of a billet of S7 steel. It would be amazing and expensive, but it's also super cool. So maybe it's something there's a market for, and maybe we should bring it back. If you've been to the Compass Rose website recently, you will notice that a lot of our most popular products are out of stock. That's because we're currently moving all of our inventory to a new distribution facility, and that's just taking a little while. And our stuff has to get to the new place before we can restock with Sawyer's hooks and shooting boards and planing stops and all the other stuff that people want to buy. And we really want you to buy that stuff, and we're working as hard as we can to get set up in our new location. If you want to know about it when we're back and ready for business, sign up for our email newsletter. We'll put a link down below in the description, and I promise we will let you know the second those items come back in stock. I should mention this video would never have been possible without the Tool Shed newsletter, which had an amazing article on the Cheney Hammer Company. It's where a lot of the information and some of the photos for this video came from. We will link to that down in the description. And I love doing these tool stories videos. So if you enjoyed this and you have a tool that you think we should cover, let me know down in the comments. We'll probably do it. Anyway, this has been a lot of fun. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.